Hey everyone, ready to dive deep into the world of artificial intelligence?
Well, I am.
Awesome. You know this PDF you gave us? It's called Artificial Intelligence.
Yeah.
And it's written by Jörg-Owe.
Yeah.
But it really seems like you want to cover it all. Like the whole history of AI,
Yeah.
the different types and techniques, the ways it's being used, even the ethical stuff.
Right.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a big topic.
But hey, that's why we're here, to break it all down. So I guess, like any good story, we should start at the beginning, right? People have been dreaming up artificial intelligence for, centuries?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you think about those like talking heads that people imagined way back in, what was it, the 12th century?
Wild. It's crazy to think that even back then, people were fascinated by the idea of creating something intelligent.
I know. And I think it shows just this fundamental human desire to understand and maybe even recreate intelligence.
So true. But when did AI, like as a field of study, really take off?
So, even though people have always been intrigued by this idea of artificial intelligence, it wasn't until the mid-20th century that it really became a formal field of research.
Okay, so mid-20th century, what was the turning point?
Well, there's this one event, the Dartmouth Workshop in 1956. It's often considered like the birth of AI as a separate, recognized discipline.
The Dartmouth Workshop, 1956. Got it. So what went down at this workshop?
It was a gathering of some of the, really brilliant minds in computer science and mathematics.
The best of the best.
Yeah, exactly. And they were organized by John McCarthy. He's the one who actually came up with the term artificial intelligence.
I did not know that.
Yep. And the goal of the workshop was to tackle this big, huge question. Could they actually be made to think like humans?
Whoa, so that's where it all began. Did they succeed? Did they, crack the code of artificial intelligence right then and there?
Oh, not quite. AI research has actually been this kind of roller coaster ride of breakthroughs and setbacks.
Like ups and downs.
Yeah, exactly. They call them AI summers and AI winters.
Oh, I've heard those terms. AI summers when everything's blooming and AI winters when things get a little frosty.
Exactly.
So why the ups and downs? What caused these AI winters?
Well, sometimes the hype around AI got a little ahead of reality. In the 1970s, for example, there were these things called expert systems. People thought they were going to revolutionize everything.
Oh, yeah, expert systems. I remember learning about those. But they didn't quite live up to the hype, did they?
No, not really. They could handle specific tasks, really well, but they weren't very good at adapting or learning new things.
Okay, so they were kind of like experts in one narrow area, but couldn't apply their knowledge to anything else.
Perfect analogy. And that lack of flexibility, that was a big part of what led to that AI winter in the 70s.
So AI hit a snag, bit of a roadblock, but obviously it didn't disappear, it bounced back, right?
Yeah.
What changed?
Well, fast forward a few decades and you've got this huge explosion in computing power. And at the same time, there's this massive amount of data becoming available. It was like suddenly the fuel was there to power AI's engine.
Ah, so big data is the key. It's what AI needs to thrive.
Exactly. This is when we start seeing major breakthroughs in machine learning. That's a key approach to building AI today, and that's really been driving the progress we've seen recently.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've got the history down, those AI summers and winters, and how we got to where we are today. But now let's talk about AI today. What exactly is it? This essay by Schnepphat, it mentions different types of AI, which seems to complicate things a bit.
You're right. AI isn't just one thing. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal.
So how do we break it down? How many different types of AI are there?
Well, broadly speaking, you can think of AI in three main categories based on their capabilities.
Three main categories. Okay, I'm ready. Hit me with category number one.
The first one is it's called narrow AI, or ANI if you like acronyms.
Narrow AI, ANI. Okay, I'm following. So what makes it narrow?
It means it's focused on doing one specific task really, really well, but it doesn't have general intelligence like humans do.
Gotcha. So it's AI, but it's limited in scope. It's got a narrow focus.
Exactly.
Can you give me some examples of narrow AI? Things we might encounter in our daily lives?
Oh, absolutely. Think about things like Siri or Alexa, those voice assistants on our phones and smart speakers.
Yeah, those are definitely AI.
And then there are those recommendation algorithms, like when Netflix suggests shows you might like.
Oh yeah, the algorithm that always seems to know what I want to watch before I do.
Exactly. Those are all examples of narrow AI. They're great at their specific jobs, but they're not, thinking like humans do.
Right, they're not writing poetry or composing symphonies.
Not yet, anyway.
Okay, so we've got narrow AI. What's the next step up on this AI ladder?
So the next level is general AI, or AGI. And this is where things get a little more futuristic.
Oh, this sounds interesting. What's so special about general AI?
Well, general AI is the kind of AI we often see in science fiction movies. It's an AI that can learn and solve problems and reason just like a human being can.
So it's like the ultimate goal of AI research, to create something that's truly intelligent in a human-like way.
For many researchers, yes, it's the holy grail of AI, so to speak. But it's also a really, really hard problem to solve.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's like we're trying to recreate the human mind with all its complexity and nuance.
Exactly, and we're not there yet. We still have a long way to go before we achieve true general AI.
Makes sense. But let's say, hypothetically, that we do figure it out. We crack the code of general AI. What happens then? Is that where this idea of, like, superintelligent AI comes in?
You're thinking of superintelligent AI, or ASI.
ASI, got it. Tell me about it. What's ASI all about?
Well, this is where things get really sci-fi. ASI is the idea that AI could actually become smarter than humans.
Smarter than us in every way, like more creative, more strategic, more everything.
Yes, in theory.
Whoa, that's kind of mind-blowing.
It is, right. And it raises some really, really big questions about the future of humanity and our relationship with technology.
Yeah, that's a whole other can of worms we might want to open later.
Maybe. But for now, we've got narrow AI, ANI, which is already here and doing amazing things, and general AI, AGI, which is still a ways off.
Okay, I'm tracking with you. But how do we get to these different levels of AI? How do we actually build these systems? I mean, this essay by Jörg-Owe mentions a whole bunch of different techniques, right?
It does, and it's a rapidly evolving field.
So what are some of the key techniques, the tools of the trade, so to speak, when it comes to building AI?
Well, one of the most important techniques, one that's driving a lot of the progress today, is machine learning.
Machine learning. I've heard that term thrown around a lot. Can you break it down for me? What exactly is machine learning?
Sure. It's all about training algorithms on massive, massive data sets.
Okay, algorithms and data sets, I'm with you so far. But how does that translate into intelligent behavior?
Well, think about it like this. The algorithm is like a student, and the data set is like a giant textbook. The algorithm analyzes all that data in the data set, looking for patterns and relationships.
Okay, so it's learning from the data, kind of like a student studying a textbook.
Exactly. And once the algorithm has learned enough, it can start making predictions or taking actions based on what it's learned.
So machine learning is all about pattern recognition, right? But on a massive scale.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay, that's machine learning. What about deep learning? I feel like that's another term that gets thrown around a lot in discussions about AI. How does that fit into the picture?
So deep learning, it's actually a subset of machine learning. It's like a specialized branch.
Okay, so machine learning is the bigger umbrella, and deep learning is a specific type of machine learning.
Exactly.
What makes deep learning so special? What sets it apart from regular machine learning?
Well, deep learning uses these things called artificial neural networks, and these networks, they're inspired by the human brain.
Whoa, the human brain. So we're talking about algorithms that are modeled after how our brains work.
In a way, yes. These neural networks are made up of interconnected nodes, just like neurons in our brains, and they can process information in a way that's similar to how our brains do it.
So it's like we're trying to replicate the human brain, at least on a simplified level, using computer algorithms.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. And deep learning has been incredibly successful, especially in areas like image recognition and natural language processing.
So those things like facial recognition software or language translation apps, those are powered by deep learning.
Exactly. Deep learning is making it possible for machines to understand and interpret images and language, which is a huge step towards, more human-like intelligence.
It really is amazing to see how far we've come. But we've got machine learning, deep learning. It seems like there's a whole toolkit of techniques for building AI. Are there any others we should talk about?
Well, yeah, there's another one that's really cool. It's called reinforcement learning.
Reinforcement learning. Okay, now that one's new to me. Tell me about it. What is reinforcement learning all about?
Think about it like Training a dog.
Okay, training a dog. How does that relate to AI?
Well, you give your dog treats when they do something good, right?
Yeah, of course, positive reinforcement.
Exactly. And that's basically how reinforcement learning works. You have an AI agent, and you give it rewards when it takes actions that lead to desired outcomes.
Ah, I see. So the AI agent is learning through trial and error, trying different things, and getting feedback in the form of rewards.
You got it. And that feedback helps the agent learn which actions are good and which ones aren't.
So it's kind of like the AI is learning by doing. It's figuring things out as it goes along based on the feedback it gets.
Exactly. Reinforcement learning is used a lot in robotics and game playing. Like, remember AlphaGo?
AlphaGo, the AI that beat the world champion at Go. Yeah, that was huge.
Right. AlphaGo was trained using reinforcement learning. And that was a really big deal because Go is a super complex game.
I bet. It's like it has more possible moves than there are atoms in the universe or something crazy like that, right?
Something like that. It's a game of incredible complexity and strategy. So for an AI to master it, that was a huge milestone.
Totally. So we've covered machine learning, deep learning, reinforcement learning. What about those expert systems we talked about earlier? The ones that kind of led to that AI winter back in the 70s.
Oh, right. Expert systems. Yeah, they were kind of a different approach to AI. They were one of the earliest attempts, but they had some limitations like we talked about.
Right. They weren't very adaptable. They couldn't really learn new things. So what was the idea behind expert systems? How did they work?
The basic idea was to take all the knowledge of a human expert in a particular field, like medicine or finance or something, and put that knowledge into a computer program.
So it's like bottling up human expertise and turning it into software.
Exactly. And they could be helpful for certain tasks, but they weren't very flexible and they couldn't really handle situations they hadn't been specifically programmed for.
Got it. So while they were an important step in the evolution of AI, they kind of hit a wall. But then machine learning and deep learning came along and opened up a whole new world of possibilities.
Exactly. And that's where things really started to take off.
It's fascinating to see how the field of AI has evolved. We've gone from those early expert systems to these incredibly sophisticated algorithms that are capable of learning, adapting, and solving complex problems.
And who knows what the future holds?
That's what I'm thinking. But before we jump ahead too far, let's talk about what AI is actually doing today. Like, where is it making a real difference in the world right now?
Well, that's a great question. And the answer is pretty much everywhere. AI is already having a huge impact on a wide range of industries, from healthcare and finance to entertainment and transportation.
So AI isn't just some futuristic concept anymore. It's actually out there in the world, shaping our lives in tangible ways.
Absolutely. And this essay by Schneepat, it highlights some really interesting examples of how AI is being used today to solve real-world problems and create new opportunities.
Sounds like we've got a lot more to explore.
We do! Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of AI.
It's great to be back.
So last time we were talking about the history of AI, the different types, like ANI, AGI, ASI.
Right. Narrow AI, general AI, and super intelligent AI.
Yep. And then all those techniques for building AI, like machine learning, deep learning, reinforcement learning.
It's a lot to take in, but it was fascinating.
It is. It's such a cool field. And today I think it would be interesting to kind of shift gears and talk about how AI is actually being used in the real world, like where is it making a difference right now?
Yeah, I'm totally curious about that. I mean, it's easy to get caught up in all the futuristic talk, but it's also important to see how AI is already shaping our lives.
Absolutely. And this essay by Jörg-Owe Schneepat, it does a good job of highlighting some of those real-world applications.
Okay, so let's get practical. Where is AI having the biggest impact right now? What are some of the areas where it's really making a difference?
Well, one area where we're seeing incredible progress is healthcare.
Healthcare. That makes sense. I mean, there's so much data in healthcare, and AI is all about analyzing data, right?
Exactly. And AI algorithms are already being used to do things like analyze medical images like X-rays and CT scans.
So like helping doctors spot things that might be hard to see with the naked eye.
Yeah, exactly. AI can often detect abnormalities or patterns that a human doctor might miss, and that can be life-saving in some cases.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like having a second set of eyes, but these eyes are powered by AI.
It is. And AI can do more than just image analysis. It can also be used to personalize treatment plans.
Personalized treatment plans. What does that mean?
Well, it means that the AI can take into account a patient's entire medical history, their genetic profile, their lifestyle, even things like their microbiome. And it can use all that information to create a treatment plan that's tailored specifically for them.
So it's like instead of a one-size-fits-all approach to medicine, AI can help create treatments that are as unique as the individual patient.
Exactly. And that's a really powerful idea. It could lead to more effective treatments, fewer side effects, and overall better health outcomes for people.
That's amazing. I mean, it sounds like AI could really revolutionize healthcare.
I think so.
Yeah.
And healthcare is just one example. AI is also transforming the finance industry.
Finance. Really? I don't usually think of AI and finance going together.
Well, think about all the data that's involved in finance. You've got stock prices, transactions, market trends, economic indicators, all of that.
Okay, yeah, a lot of data. But how is AI being used to make sense of all that?
AI algorithms are being used to do things like detect fraudulent transactions.
So like preventing credit card fraud and stuff like that.
Yep. And AI can also be used to assess credit risk more accurately, which can help banks and other lenders make better decisions.
Ah, so it's helping to make the financial system more secure and efficient.
Exactly. AI is really good at analyzing vast amounts of data and identifying patterns that humans might miss.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like having an AI watchdog, keeping an eye on all those transactions and looking for anything suspicious.
I like that analogy.
So we've got healthcare and finance. And this essay by Schneppat, it also mentions AI being used to tackle some pretty big global challenges, right?
It does. One area where AI has the potential to make a huge difference is in addressing climate change.
Climate change, that's a big one. How can AI help with something as complex as climate change?
Well, AI algorithms can be used to analyze climate data and model different scenarios, which can help scientists better understand how the climate is changing and predict what might happen in the future.
So helping us understand the problem better.
Exactly. And that understanding can then inform better decision-making about how to mitigate climate change.
Okay, that's crucial. But can AI do more than just help us understand climate change? Can it actually help us do something about it?
Yes. AI can be used to optimize energy consumption in buildings and transportation systems.
So like making our cities and homes more energy efficient.
Exactly. And it can also be used to develop new materials and technologies that can help us transition to a cleaner energy future.
Wow, that's really impressive. It seems like AI has the potential to make a real difference in the fight against climate change.
I think so. And these are just a few examples. There are so many other areas where AI is already having an impact, like self-driving cars, personalized education, even things like creating new forms of art and music.
It's almost like AI is touching every aspect of our lives in some way, even if we don't always realize it.
It is. And as AI continues to evolve, it's only going to become more integrated into our lives.
All this talk about AI's potential is incredibly exciting, but I think it's also important to acknowledge that there are some concerns about AI as well, right?
Yes.
Like one of the big ones I hear a lot about is the potential for AI to take over jobs. I know this wasn't a focus in Schneppat's work, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, it's a valid concern. As AI becomes more capable, it's likely that some tasks that are currently done by humans will be automated.
So the fear of AI replacing human workers, is that a legitimate fear?
Well, I think it's important to look at it realistically. While some jobs will inevitably be affected, AI will also create new jobs. Jobs in areas like AI development, data analysis, AI ethics.
So it's not necessarily about jobs being lost, but rather jobs changing and new jobs emerging.
Exactly. It's going to be more of a shift in the job market than, a complete takeover by robots.
So the key is to be adaptable and to prepare for these new opportunities.
Exactly. We need to focus on education and training programs that will equip people with the skills they need to thrive in an AI-driven economy.
Makes sense. Another concern I sometimes hear is that, AI could become too powerful or even turn against humanity. Is that something we should worry about?
Well, that's a question that's been explored a lot in science fiction, right?
Yeah, those Terminator scenarios are pretty terrifying.
They are. But I think it's important to distinguish between science fiction and reality. The AI systems we have today are nowhere near the level of self-awareness and autonomy that you see in those movies.
Okay, that's reassuring.
Yeah.
So no robot uprising anytime soon.
Not that we need to worry about right now. But it is important to be mindful of the ethical implications of AI as it becomes more powerful and more integrated into our lives.
Absolutely. It's not just about the technology itself, but also about how we use it and what kind of future we want to create with it.
Exactly. We need to make sure that AI is developed and used responsibly, ethically, and in a way that benefits all of humanity.
Well said. I think that's a really important message to keep in mind as we continue to explore the world of AI.
I agree.
And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into the world of AI.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. We've talked about the history, the different types of AI, the techniques, and the ways it's being used today.
Yeah, a lot of ground covered.
We have. But now I'm really curious about what lies ahead. What's next for AI? Where do we go from here?
That's the big question, isn't it? Trying to predict the future is always a bit of a gamble, but
that's half the fun, right?
Exactly. So based on what we're seeing now, based on the trends and the research, like what Schnepphat talks about in this essay, we can make some educated guesses.
Okay, so put on your prognostication hat.
Yeah.
What are some of the areas where you see AI making the biggest leaps in the next few years?
Well, I definitely think we'll see continued progress in machine learning and deep learning. Like those techniques are really driving a lot of the innovation in AI right now.
Makes sense. Those are the engines of progress, so to speak.
Yeah. And as those techniques get more sophisticated, we'll see even more powerful and flexible AI systems. Systems that can learn faster, adapt more easily, and maybe even, start to exhibit some of those qualities we associate with human intelligence, like creativity and intuition.
Whoa, that's pretty mind-blowing. So we're talking about AI that's not just smart, but also, insightful and imaginative.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, think about it. We're already seeing AI create art and music, write poetry, even code software.
It's wild. It's like the line between human creativity and AI-generated creativity is starting to blur.
It is. And that raises all sorts of interesting questions, both philosophical and practical.
Totally. But before we get too deep into those philosophical waters, I want to come back to those real-world applications.
Yeah.
You mentioned personalized medicine earlier. Is that an area where you see AI having a particularly big impact in the future?
Oh, absolutely. I think personalized medicine is going to be huge, and AI is going to be at the heart of it.
Okay, paint me a picture. What does the future of personalized medicine look like, powered by AI?
Well, imagine a world where your doctor has access to not just your medical records, but also your entire genetic profile, your lifestyle data, even information about your microbiome.
Wow, that's a lot of information.
It is. But with AI, we can analyze all that data and use it to create incredibly personalized treatment plans. Treatments that are tailored to your unique biology, your lifestyle, your individual needs.
That's like, instead of treating the disease, we're treating the person.
Exactly. And AI can also be used to predict potential health risks before they even become a problem.
So like preventative medicine on a whole new level.
Exactly. It's about using AI to keep people healthy, not just treat them when they're sick.
That's a powerful vision. And I know we talked about climate change earlier. How do you see AI contributing to the fight against climate change in the future?
Well, AI can help us in a few ways. First, it can help us understand the problem better. Like, we can use AI to analyze climate data, model different scenarios, and predict future trends.
Right, so it's about getting a better grasp of the complex dynamics of climate change.
Exactly. And then AI can help us develop solutions. Like, we can use AI to optimize energy consumption, design more sustainable buildings and transportation systems, even develop new materials and technologies that can help us reduce our carbon footprint.
It's amazing to think that AI could play such a crucial role in, saving the planet.
I think so too. But it's important to remember that AI is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or bad.
Right. That's a point you've emphasized throughout our deep dive. And it's a really important one. It's not just about the technology itself, but also about how we choose to use it.
Exactly. And as AI becomes more powerful, the ethical considerations become even more important.
So how do we ensure that AI is used ethically and responsibly, especially as it continues to evolve and become more integrated into our lives?
Well, I think it starts with having these conversations, talking about the potential benefits and risks of AI, and making sure that those conversations involve a wide range of voices, not just technologists, but also ethicists, policymakers, and the public.
It's about having a societal conversation, not just a technical one.
Exactly. We need to establish clear ethical guidelines for AI development and deployment. We need to think about things like bias in algorithms, data privacy, and the potential for AI to be used in ways that could harm individuals or society as a whole.
It's a big responsibility. But it seems like there's also a huge opportunity here to use AI to create a better future for everyone.
I agree. I really believe that AI has the potential to solve some of our most pressing problems, from climate change to poverty to disease. But we have to be thoughtful and intentional about how we develop and use it.
Well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive, is there any final thought you'd like to leave our listeners with? Anything you want them to ponder as they continue to explore the world of AI?
I think the most important thing is to stay curious. AI is a rapidly evolving field, and there's always something new to learn. And don't be afraid to ask questions, to challenge assumptions, and to think critically about the potential impact of AI on our lives and our world.
That's great advice. I think the message here is that the future of AI is not set in stone. It's something we're all shaping together.
Absolutely. It's a collective effort.
Well, I think we've given our listeners a lot to chew on today. We've explored the fascinating world of AI from its humble beginnings to its incredible potential. It's been an amazing journey.
It really has. And it's just the beginning.
So true. And that wraps up our deep dive into the world of artificial intelligence. Thanks for joining us on this exploration. Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and keep exploring the amazing world of AI.